What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to discuss if the Demon's Souls remake will be a PS5 launch title. Now, this is a really interesting game and topic to me. We talked about, I believe, last week or a few days ago on the channel about the Resistance remake. If that was going to happen. And I've been a petitioner basically for a Resistance remake for many years. And ever since Bluepoint obviously put out that tweet that pretty much teased 5-6 different games with that they're only going to do at least 2 of them right now, a lot of people obviously would say, okay, well, which are going to be these games? We've talked about that in the past. There has been rumors and leaks that Demon's Souls was one of those remakes, the big one that Bluepoint Games has been working on for a while. Okay, so I'm going to go off of the belief, I guess, and this video can be just in part talking about if I believe that's going to happen. I do. I really do believe that Demon's Souls is getting remade. I think that, that franchise, the Souls franchise in general, is a very popular one, a very powerful one, and considering maybe they can't get Bloodborne 2 done right now, the next best thing to a Bloodborne 2 is Demon's Souls remake. It's not necessarily even a Demon's Souls 2, it's more or less just, Demon's Souls was such I feel like ahead of its time and kind of pioneered obviously the age of the Dark Souls, and it would really have been smart of Sony to pick up From Software or at least get that Souls franchise figured out and grabbed into their own, their own grouping of PlayStation games. Obviously, they let that fall apart, and, Dark Souls is not. There's Bloodborne and Demon's Souls, though. So, when it comes to Demon's Souls, I really do think it is something that's been done or that is being done in the background. I think that, one, it makes a lot of sense just, again, considering if they can't do Bloodborne, Demon's Souls does make a lot of sense. It's a game, a relic from the early PS3 era, a franchise that a lot of people love. Even though it's just one game, that one game is very loved, and again, kind of ahead of its time. And then you have, of course, all of the leaks and rumors that is just, in fact, the game that is being worked on from Bluepoint. So let's just now, okay, so we talked about that part. Now let's, for the rest of the video, just assume that Demon's Souls is going to happen, that the remake of Demon's Souls is 100% happening, and it's going to be coming out. I would assume, and I guess we could stop it there, it's going to be coming out. The next question, I guess, would be, would it be PS4 or PS5? I really don't think this game is going to be a PS4 game. I really don't think they're going to just, slide this game in the spring of 2020, this upcoming spring. I really don't see that. Sony in general, I think they got it pretty locked down and have confidence, at least, in Final Fantasy VII, that remake, again, beginning of March, and then The Last of Us Part 2 being at the end of May. Yeah, that's only 2 games. Yeah, I mean, obviously, in terms of Sony-owned studios, it's really just The Last of Us Part 2 from Naughty Dog. But that's still, 2 games in just a couple months, in 3 months of each other. Really solid, and 2 obviously very big games. The Last of Us could carry them an entire quarter, an entire 4, 5, 6 months of the year, I think, just by itself. So I think they have a lot of confidence there, and I also just don't think the Demon's Souls remake would be done yet. I also, again, don't really think it's a PS4 game. That's why the question, is it a PS5? I think it is a PS5 game. I think 100%, there's really no question that it would be a PlayStation 5 game. The biggest question would be, is it a launch title? And we've talked about it a lot on the channel, and I definitely want to keep talking about it on the channel as these months go on, because I love making these predictions. I love just talking about all the possibilities with these games, and yeah, I may end up being wrong on so many of them, but I also may be right on a few as well, and that's what makes it fun. We've talked a lot about the PS5 launch lineup, and I've talked about it basically in just different game videos. I've talked about a specific game and talked about if it could happen. I haven't really done a video saying what I think could be the launch lineup, and if you guys want me to do something like that, I could totally do it. I think it depends on what Sony, like I've said in all these videos basically, it depends on what Sony feels comfortable with launching with the PS5. I really don't think they want to do the same thing as PS4, where they basically had nothing. In terms of their own Sony exclusive games, they really had next to nothing. They had Contrast, they had Killzone Shadowfall, and they had Resogun. And I thought Resogun was the best game on PlayStation for like a year after the PS4 was out. I still thought Resogun was the best game. With that being said, could they have done with Infamous Second Son being a launch day? Yeah. Was that game, I believe, pushed back? Yeah. So, I think they tried. I think they wanted games out around that time that just didn't end up happening. They may have, again, like we've talked about in Sony videos, walked themselves in to a nice situation with Ghost of Tsushima seemingly being pushed, where now it probably will come out with like a launch, cross cross-generation kind of release, right? Where it'll be out on PS4, but it'll also be out on PS5. They kind of walked themselves into that situation. They didn't think that was going to happen, but, lo and behold, it ended up happening. So I think that is something that is going to be happening. Maybe there is that Killzone, the rumor of the Killzone multiplayer. It depends on what they have, but you have to assume they have a couple other things in their sleeve. We've talked about maybe a Horizon Zero Dawn 2. Would that be like, could they have that be in like the February, same kind of time period as Horizon, the first game, came out? Also same time period around that infamous Second Son came out, to kind of help it in the early spring of the following year, the PS5, I mean. That could be it. I really do think Horizon is that game, though. Demon Souls, it's not going to sell the console. Demon Souls is more of like a complementary piece that I think, you say like, hey, we have all these games. There's new games being worked on, but we also have a few remakes, right? Here's a Demon Souls remake. Here's this game come. Maybe there's like a Sly remaster, something like random like that. But, we have all these games, and Demon Souls would be one of those games. I think it fits in really well. And again, it's like a complement to the rest of them. It's not going to sell consoles. It could be the reason why some people get it, where it's like, hey, it's only on PS5. You could just get it on PS5, and people that bought the PS3 and played Demon Souls, and they're like, hey, and just maybe to jump back into it. And also, if it's a remake, yeah, they try and keep it, as grounded in what it originally was as they possibly can. But no doubt, it's going to be kind of reworked a little bit. I'm sure people are going to want to play it just to kind of jump back into that world again. There's, Sekiro is a fantastic game, but that Souls franchise, Demon, Dark, and then Bloodborne, and if you want to include Bloodborne in the Souls, that there's like a thirst for those kind of games, and there's like a lustering for those kind of games, and to give you a Demon Souls remake and say, hey, it's the game you all know and love, it's a lot better though, right? A lot of people are going to jump into that. A lot of people are going to go back in and play it, and that also, I feel like, jump starts maybe a possibility for a Demon Souls 2. Maybe it jump starts the discussion again, where it's like, hey, we need to get Bloodborne 2 out there, which is a discussion for a completely different video, which I do want to do very, very soon. But that would also jumpstart that. So it's got a lot of positives. I mean, I do think it definitely talks to a specific group of gamers, where people, a specific set that maybe aren't going to be interested in Horizon 2 or an Uncharted or The Last, or like, there's some people that are just into those kind of very, very hard, games like the Demon, Dark Souls, all those kind of things, that you're talking to those kind of people there, and that's a very specific but also important group. And also, it's a loved franchise. It really is a loved franchise, and I don't really think, again, the question is if it's going to be made. I do think that's just, yeah, it is being worked on. I feel like that is one of those two games that Blue Point's making. I feel like it's a much, much requested game that people have been asking for almost a decade. Like, give us either a second one or remake it or do something with that franchise. And I do think we're getting that. At the same time, again, it's just all kind of placement. When does it kind of make the most sense to come out? Will it fall by the wayside if you put it out with the PS5 launch day, launch month even, right? Like October, November of 2020? Does it get buried beneath the new Call of, like, Black Ops 5? Does it get buried beneath the new Assassin's Creed? Does it get buried beneath Watch Dogs? Does it get buried beneath, if there's a big Sony, or Ghost of Tsushima? Does it get buried beneath maybe another big exclusive that Sony has that they want to do launch day? There's a lot of things that could bury it, and I feel like you have to give it some sort of respect, that if you're going to remake it, and it's going to really, and if that's the game Blue Point's talking about, that's like the biggest project they've worked on, I mean, yeah, you're going to want to promote it. You're going to want to make it a really, really big thing. Give it its own month, right? Have it come out in like January, February, March, whatever. Distance itself maybe a little bit from Horizon 2 if you also are planning on that to be in the spring. And that can be kind of your spring of 2021, and maybe like one other game thrown in there. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that could be what they have planned. Again, like, you need the big launch games, and you need big exclusives just in general. And we've talked about a lot of them, right? Killzone, possibly like a Killzone 5, maybe an All-Stars Battle Royale 2, maybe a Secret Uncharted. There's a lot. Horizon, Spider-Man, God of War, all those kind of games. I mean, you just pick which ones you want first. You have all of those, but you also need those side games, It would have been nice to have like a Quantic Dream. We also know that Sony is purchasing studios, right? So maybe they're trying to get a couple studios to get those more, again, like complement pieces, those complementary games that can kind of just add to the overall lineup, not just the launch lineup, but the lineup over the first year, 2 years, where it's very, very important that you have a lot of quality games, a lot of them, and also very, very different ones from each other, so you get the biggest amount of people and the most variety of people that you can to buy your new console. That's very, very important. I think Demon's Souls, a remake of that, would fulfill a specific grouping of people that you would want to jump over, either if they're jumping over from Xbox or to jump from PS3 or PS4 to PS5. You want those people. So guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think Demon's Souls, the remake, is being made just in general? And if it is, when do you think the game is going to be released? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel podcast. Now hit that bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. And thank you, as always, for watching. I always greatly appreciate it. I hope to see you all on the next video.